We have a force in dance music joining us today. This is going to be one of the most interesting interviews I've ever done. It's with HorsegiirL, who absolutely blew up in the pandemic with her horse-themed, I guess, dance music, providing something new to a genre that often provides us with so much entertainment, so much theatricality, and I just feel like her journey over the past 5-6 years has been really interesting because she's been able to transcend the meme that she was early on in the 2020s and become, to me, one of the most exciting names in dance music right now. She has an album coming out in June. It's called Nature is Healing, and it really genuinely does feel like a very grounding record. She's talked in the past about how she kind of led a hedonistic lifestyle off the back of those early few hits and even embraced it on her EP VIP last year. But with Nature is Healing, she very much plants herself on the ground and talks about how we can all become part of nature together rather than just purely being a spectator of it. And I know that might sound like a bit hooey, but I've heard the record and she really does manage to provide this beautiful soundscape that feels natural, that feels like at one with its environment, that's very calming, that's very peaceful at points, and takes inspiration from so many different pockets of dance music. I'm hearing Sophie A.G. Cook inspiration on there. I'm hearing Groove Armada as well, and also more sort of Eastern European trance influences, even things like Scooter too. It's a really, really exciting record, and I am just very ready to sit down and talk with her. It's going to be a cool one. If you like interviews just like this, make sure you hit follow and subscribe. You can also rate this podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening to it. It really helps with our visibility. And otherwise, sit back and enjoy the chat. We're going to get into the album. We're going to talk about the pop music that she loves, what's inspiring her. I'm excited. Let's do it. This is very exciting to introduce to the podcast HorsegiirL. We've just been discussing, but you're the first of many on this. You're our first horse and you're our first German on the podcast. So welcome.
Very honored to be the first here, the first horse. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I feel like a good place to start is this album, and then we can work backwards from there. But I think this album is incredible. There's this beautiful thing that dance music can do, and for a genre that is often compared to something so synthetic, to be able to connect it to nature and find a sense of calm in that, I think is really, really impressive. And I want to know where that starts for you, creating this sound, because I think it's different and it's a progression from what you've done.
It definitely feels different. The process felt different because I also had a lot more time to really work on the sound and work on the messaging. And what I love about doing an album, which was my first time, is obviously my debut album, is that you have so much room to make music that doesn't need to necessarily fit into a short soundbite, TikTokable single,
Right.
So, how did I go about trying to make the record with nature, really? I sampled a lot of animals. I had a lot of field recordings that I used just as a bit of a sound carpet for the record, sometimes really not recognizable to the ear, but and I wanted it to be a synthetic sound together with the organic sound, something gritty and imperfect, because I think there is a long history in dance music of this kind of more esoteric, spiritual world, like an ethno-electronic vibe.
Yeah.
And I was very inspired by that era. So
Yeah, I was picking up like even like groove, like early kind of groove Armada stuff that felt like very relaxing, even like some Moby influence like there as well. But the thing that strikes me the most is like, this is you in your pop star era, like only the best it comes through. And Aura, I think in particular, like feels like a real pop track as well. How's that been for you to kind of like really step into it as a vocalist too?
I mean, I feel like I've always been holding back quite a lot when I was writing more club records, because I was also interested in how a club record, when it comes to the lyrics and also the vocal melody, it needs to be simple oftentimes. Like, it needs to be something you can chant along to, or just it can't be too overcomplicated. And I think that was really interesting to explore, but it was never fully what I want to do all the time, you know? I love a good narrative. I love a really well-written song. And I was very, very happy to do that on this record. And maybe I am in my pop era, you know?
Where do the influences come in for you? Like, in terms of pop music in particular, is there anyone that you look at, past or present, to inform that? Because I feel like dance music and pop coming together is like such a beautiful synergy.
There are so many. It's mainly women, really. Like, I think it's been a couple of really big girl pop years now.
Yeah, it has been.
I mean, for this specific record, I think a lot of inspiration also came from the greats like Madonna and Kylie Minogue, and like also, I mean, I love Rihanna, and there was this real EDM phase in the 2010s, of course, like when everyone was doing a big dance record. So like, I don't know if you remember the Loud album, for example, with like Only Girl in the World and stuff. So I really loved that era as well.
It's interesting you said Madonna, because one of the records that came to mind when I was listening to it was Ray of Light, and particularly like William Orbit's production as well. A very spiritual, like natural album that's also very synthetic at the same time.
And I love about that album that it carries the melancholy and the euphoria at the same time. And I think with Only the Best, that was the first track I kind of wrote for this album, not knowing that it's going to be, you know, what it's going to turn out to. And it carried both. It has this, it's like kind of sad and dark, but also very light and positive and uplifting. And this really, I don't know, something in me was like, okay, I need to lean into this more. Yeah.
Your career's been like really interesting, not only because you're a horse, but because we were basically in the pandemic when things really started to move for you. And that's like a really interesting time to be in when we're in a pandemic. And now you've like kind of arrived at this point that feels like you've taken the time to go through that like massive like upward spiral kind of thing. And I know hedonism you've explored so much in that music, and now arrive at this time that feels very grounded. Like, tell me what that was like early on when things really started taking off for you.
I think because I only really started right after, kind of still in the pandemic. I think there was so much change happening to the club crowd. There were a lot of younger people that obviously hadn't been raving at all because they were locked up and were underaged before, or just not old enough to go. And I felt this real punk freedom to just play whatever I was finding online and thought was cool. And it felt really freeing. And I didn't think about the technicality of DJing as like a tool or a skill to have. It was more so just, okay, here are some crazy tracks that make me want to move. And I'm just going to play them in random little clubs. And I didn't expect that it to ever spiral out of control like it did, you know, because I think DJing still to me feels only like a tiny little fraction of my expression. But it was crazy to all of a sudden be in so many different places in the world and be paid to press play on tracks. It's still a bit mad, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there is a real isolation to this lifestyle if you aren't careful, because you're alone a lot, you travel and you miss out on a lot of things back home, like friends' birthdays and just like random link ups that you're just never there. And I think in the eye of the storm, it just became a bit more and more clear that for me, in order to enjoy what I do, I need to find a way back to some realness, you know. And I think also the world has changed in those past 5-6 years a lot, from a very hedonistic time to more and more people maybe craving something with substance as well. So when it came to making my record, I was like, okay, I have to, like, what do I actually want to say?
Yeah. Because I can imagine when like you're getting all these opportunities, it's just like, yes. But when it's moving so quickly, you don't have time yourself to be like, I know this is really good, but is this exactly what I want?
Yeah, and I think also you have to walk the walk to find out what is your path.
100%.
You know, you have to do it to figure out what works and what doesn't, and what shows you want to do and what shows you don't want to do, and through it all, it's still been an amazing experience. You know, there's definitely nothing I regret, and it's just incredible that all the humans have embraced the little pony.
Who would have thought? Was there a moment when this album started to make sense to you in terms of what you did want to say?
Yeah, I think sonically it was kind of Only the Best was kind of the first song where I was like, oh, okay, I'm onto something, which I wrote with Casey MQ, who works also a lot with OK Lou, and just like having the pan flutes and also the guitar, as well as like these it's almost like a house track. Like it's a very, I don't know, to me it's giving early 2000s, like
100%.
You're in like a gay bar. The night has just started. It's not like a hard record. Yeah. So once this record sonically was there, I was like, okay, I think this is where I want to go more into. And the theme, though, of Only the Best, which is so interesting, is still kind of a material theme, or it's the questioning of someone who has everything, but is completely empty and craves love, and you know, is willing to give all of this money and material thing to someone else in order to get love in return. So I don't think I would have written this record when it comes to the lyrics later on in the process, because I was then already like, I don't want it to be another record where every song is like, yeah, I make money, I'm hot, I'm so pretty.
Yeah, which is fun, but to a point.
It's fun. It's to a point, though, exactly. And it's kind of, it's something I did on my last record, and it was, like that was fun, but it's not all there is. And then I was reading a lot about so many different nature topics, very broad as well as philosophy. And I just thought, how can I make music that where I'm talking about things that I actually also am interested in? And I think as songwriters, sometimes you lean into topics that work and that maybe are easy to do, because you're like, oh, love or friendship or whatever, that's what we're going to write about. And there's so much to say about that as well. But I really wanted to also write about mushrooms and about rivers and and other animals and nature.
which is like something, again, that people don't always associate with dance music, because it's like if you want to do that, it's usually explored in like an alternative singer-songwritery space or like ambient music or something like that. So I feel like to adjust your head to that is difficult to match those two ideas when you've been doing something else for so long.
Which is interesting, because I think to me a rave, like the original rave, is oftentimes in nature. I think my very first rave that I went to, or one of the very early raves I went to, was in a forest.
Yeah.
You know, it's oftentimes in some random off location, and it feels very like archaic, you know? You're just like, if there were fires around, that would be even better. Just like, you know, you're just listening to this ongoing drum beat and you're just connecting and awakening, you know? And I think, so to me, it kind of makes totally sense to have the rave not only in a more industrial setting, but also in a nature setting.
Yeah. And I was just talking about this last week with Icona Pop as well, in terms of the spirituality and the ritual of raving and dance music in general.
Yes.
And I think when you think of spirituality and you think of rituals, you'll often think of like a meadow or like being outdoors in nature. But there's something about that feeling when the rave is at its peak that matches that kind of spirituality, I think. And that's something you reach on this album.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I mean, I really think there's a reason why we see so many people all over the world embracing rave culture, because I think there's a real want and need to connect with others. And it's not great that it's getting super commodified and commercialized how it is, which I can only always, all the younger audience that is listening to this, I feel like, you know, I can only encourage you to do your own raves, to go off grid, to start events yourself. You don't need to go to these big, massive, expensive festivals. These are also great and they're also an experience, but I think that's not the only place where you can experience a real rave. Probably is not the place where you will experience a real rave.
Well, I want to ask you then, like, about your ideal nightlife. Like, what's a perfect night look like for you, in or like in the club or out of the club?
I think a perfect night out for me has to have some level of spontaneity. I do not like going to a place or going into the night feeling like almost pressured that I now have to have fun. Like I now have to be into wanting to dance, you know? The best night outs start out with like a spontaneous meet up with your friends and you're like, oh, should we get some dinner? Should we get some drinks? Okay, actually there's this thing going on, you know, should we go there? And then the vibes are really good and you're like, oh, this is brilliant. I want to stay here. And then, you know, one thing leads to another and you're like at an afters or something, you know? I think, it's really not one recipe, but I think it's always some level of like an organic flow of the night, you know? I rarely had nights when I was like, okay, we're going to this club now. We're gonna have this experience when
everyone have fun.
Everyone have fun. That's why also New Year's and stuff can be some of the worst nights, because you're like, oh, the pressure is on, you know? You have to have a good time now. It's New Year's Eve. You know?
I will say, as someone who really likes to drill in fun into people, New Year's Eve is a great time for me. I'm like, you have to have fun. It's New Year's Eve. Why are you sitting in the corner? It's New Year's Eve. But I do think cities like Berlin and New York really capture that feeling of spontaneity.
Yes.
And I remember when I moved here, someone was like to me, if you go out at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, be prepared to not be home until 5 a.m.
Yes.
And I was like, but what would we do? And
what won't we do?
What will we do? That is I still don't know, and I've done it many times. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, and it's so funny when you're like kind of recapping the things that happened, and nothing really happened, but also everything happened. It's so crazy. Yeah, time becomes this really interesting thing and a good night out. Yeah.
It's a very millennial concept, like the nights we won't remember, the nights we won't forget.
Oh my God,
Get that on a t-shirt.
Get that as a tattoo, guys. Someone.
I want to know what's the song on this album that you're the most proud of, or perhaps the most surprised that it's come out of you?
Ooh, I think this is always changing, because they're all like so different, and I don't know, some days I'm more in love with that one, some days I'm more in love with that one. I think the most surprised, I feel like Connect the Dots, because it's really, I'm kind of leaning into my Janet Jackson era there, and I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
And also having some like live sex on playing on the record was amazing to get someone in the studio.
I thought you said live sex, and
I was
like,
sex.
wow.
Live saxophone, to clarify, saxophone. We had some live sex in the studio.
I was very impressed. I mean, I feel like Janet Jackson likes to sex up the music a bit, so...
Maybe next record, the dark room Berkheim tapes. But that was the most surprising, maybe. And then the one right now in this moment, maybe most current as well, OI, Organic Intelligence, because I feel like that was also one of the last songs I wrote for the record, and I don't know, I think it really distilled a lot of the topics that were current in my brain at the time, and
I'm really interested in that one because the dance community, like particularly right now, seems to be really split on this AI thing, and it's like a complex and somewhat boring topic at points to really get into. But I think what this song comes back to, and what it always comes back to, is people crave a sense of humanity.
I think Organic Intelligence for me started, like many records, like many songs on this record, with genuine love and wonder and appreciation of the organic, of nature, and of how incredibly intricate and perfectly designed everything seems to be in nature, and our craze for this robotification of everything, and making everything so much more efficient, is so anti-nature in a way, because I think to go a little bit deeper here I think there's this really big belief, especially in the Western world, of neo-Darwinism, where it's like, only the strongest survives, the most efficient survives, and only that is like, and this is how we have to model our society as well. Like, it's only about the survival of the fittest. Yeah. When the actual facts are so different. It's not at all about who's the strongest, but who's the most connected, who works the best with all these other species together. And if nature would work like that, like if evolution worked like that, and it would only do things that are most efficient, then there would only be one super efficient fish, one super efficient, insect, and one super efficient tree, and all the different colors and shapes and weird, like, so beautiful, but altercations, wouldn't exist. And I feel like, with Organic Intelligence, that coming back to the song, it was like, once again, very much just being in awe of what we have and appreciating that, rather than trying to always replace it with something that kind of never comes close to it, you know?
Yeah.
And AI, to me, can be a great tool, but I think humanity needs to realize it is just that. It's a tool.
Yeah.
And it is not, we shouldn't become the slaves of that tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said like something really pertinent, which was that like we have to remember that we're not observing nature, we're in nature.
Yeah, we are nature. Yes.
Which is like, seems like a simple concept, but it's like the fact that it's profound to read something like that means that people don't remember that.
A little bit. Yes, and it's nothing new. Like, I'm not saying things that are like, so, you know, every indigenous person could have told you this. Like, it has been telling you this for time and time. But it's you forget sometimes, I think, when you live in very urbanized Western spaces that, we are not this transcendental thing, I think,
How does it feel for you to take these concepts and this sound that's attached to this record and put it in certain spaces, whether that be festivals or nightclubs or whatever? How does it feel to see that responded to by crowds?
I think right now we're obviously very much at the beginning of it. So it's still an ongoing process of also figuring out how the show can evolve. And I think taking my fans on this journey with me as well, because it's a huge jump, right? It's like, or maybe not a huge jump, but it is different to what I've done before.
Yeah.
It, for me, from just how it feels performing, it feels a lot more freeing in a way, because there's more space to inhabit all of my parts, you know?
Yeah, right.
Whereas before, I think a lot of the times when I would play, I would feel almost a certain pressure to just hit like hard and go really, really hard. And that's also one part of me, but you know, us horses, we also sometimes like to calm down a bit or like lean into different sonic worlds. And it's been received really well. We did a few listening events as well, one in New York actually in a sauna.
It's amazing, yeah.
Then we did one in London in a garden, and like to get to choose fun places to do it in as well is really cool. Like taking it out of the usual expected place.
Yeah, that is really cool to like put it in a new setting.
Yes.
Yeah. I think just looking at the collaborators across your career, I think that your taste is immaculate, I will say. Like even just KCMQ, Margot XS, AG Cook. So I'm interested, like, who is really exciting you at the moment within maybe the electronic, but even like the pop space as well?
Ooh, so many things. I think there is so much new stuff all the time that I'm so in awe of in all these different genres, really. I think with all of the AI slob, I really believe that it could push us back to a really interesting time in art, because you know, the perfect is not what we crave anymore. It's the realness. There is this young artist from the UK that I really love. Everything he's like doing. He did this Pop Star in the Bits track.
Yeah.
Wait, what's his name? I'm blanking right now, but maybe we can link it in the show notes or whatever they say in a podcast. But I think there's basically this new wave of trap and drill and like kind of that rap world mixing the production with like hardstyle kicks and like a really distorted sound that I love. I am so here for it, because I feel like it's one thing I really, really find so sad still in a lot of electronic dance spaces is how homogenous it is in terms of like ethnicity. It's like so, like I grew up thinking that hubber and hardcore and jump style, like and hard style is very much like a white genre that you can only like really listen to if you're like from the village somewhere in Germany or Belgium or whatever. And to hear elements from these underground sounds being used now somewhere in, I don't know, in Atlanta or like somewhere is so sick to me. Because it just shows culture just evolves, and that's very exciting to me. I also love a lot of Brazilian music. Like obviously I'm still not over right now. I'm still not over baile funk. Like I could listen to this all day. But I mean, artists, there's so many. I don't want to just shout out one person and then I also always feel like so put on the spot when I have to.
And this is what people are always like to me. So who are you listening to right now? And I'm like, it's just, my brain just goes blank. They're like, don't you do it all day? I'm like, yeah, but in this moment, I've got nobody for you.
I know.
We can move backwards and ask like, what kind of things are you listening to growing up? Like what's part of your musical DNA?
I was very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of different music. Because I just grew up with very many music lovers around me, and I never had to pick a genre or over-identify with one specific genre, because I think a lot of people I know, they tend to maybe listen to only the thing that their parents listen to, or do the opposite, like rebel against that, and over-identify with like, oh well, only old music is good music, or like I only listen to rock, or I only listen to hip hop, or I only do this. So I actually listen to honestly everything from rock to jazz to classical music, to a lot of R&B, and it's been a wild ride. I think my first CD that I actually got physically was actually Usher, Confessions Part 2.
Nice.
Yes.
It's a pretty perfect album too.
It's a really good album. I've been like re-listening to it and I'm still not tired of it.
No, it's so like that is a perfect entry point to music. Yes. I feel like is to come in at Usher Confessions. Yeah.
And I think the album I got after was like a Korn record that I got from my cousin. So it's like, you know, the
I think one of my first was Limp Bizkit. So we were on the same path.
Limp Bizkit Nookie. Oh, I loved that song as a child. I didn't get what it was actually about.
No.
Yeah. And then I guess like dance wise, I think, you know, in Germany big was Cascada, Scooter.
I was thinking of Scooter when I was listening to Apple a Day. I was like, that vibe is very in there. Yeah,
because the OG way of like Scooter performing or HB Baxter performing was obviously like shouting out other DJs, you know, or like just shouting things into the mic.
Incredible. Yeah.
And there's this part in Apple a Day, obviously, where I'm like, put your motherfucking apples up. Don't know if I can swear on the podcast.
No, of course you can. Okay. Yeah, someone said cunt yesterday, so we're fine.
Okay, good. Perfect. Then I will just swear from now on.
Yeah, just every sentence, throw it in. Yeah, perfect. This is a question that I pose to everybody, and like you can define pop in whichever way you want, because for me, pop just means like anything that's bringing in a mass audience.
Yeah.
What is, if somebody had never really understood pop music or understood the concept of pop music, what's an album that you would give to them to be like, this is pop music? And this is really putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Ooh. Because I kind of agree very much with your definition. It could be anything from Gorillaz to a Rihanna album to
Gorillaz is a good one to pick
Because I think
pick up because they don't really like go into any of the traditional pop tropes, but it's so...
Yeah, but even maybe something like a Fatboy Slim record could
Yeah.
also be pop in a way, because I think the thing about pop is, yes, it brings in a mass audience, and it is kind of, there is a certain palatableness and repetitiveness in the musical structure.
Yeah.
So that your brain, a specific part of your brain responds to pop music. There's a really interesting study they did decades ago where they put people into like a what's it called, the
like an MRI machine,
into an MRI machine, and they were looking at which areas in your brain respond to which kind of music. And pop music, different synapses fire in your brain than any other music. It is the same area that responds to candy, to sweets, and to I think shopping or something like this.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Because your brain loves that it always kind of resolves. Like that it's not like the chords as well as also the lyrics and the vocal is always like it resolves, and it never leaves you kind of hanging in that way. And so I think these two aspects, as well as like a mass audience, but also, you know, you can have a pop song and no one cares for it and still pop, you know.
Exactly.
So I think and I think that's also what makes pop so great. You just want to listen to it again and again.
I wonder if there's something just like about turning like the emotional dial to like 11 that makes it very pop. Like there's a maximalism to it, I guess.
Yeah.
That kind of like Sophie and PC Music played with a lot, I think.
Yes.
But then there's also a lot of subtlety in pop music now too. Maybe too much, I would say. But
really, you love the maximalism. You love the theatrics of pop.
I love that pop gives you a space to be so outwardly, like, maybe eccentric's not the right word, but if you really lean into it as much as you possibly can. And I think names like Beyonce, Rihanna, Madonna, Lady Gaga do this exceptionally well, where they're like, this is my playground and I can call on so many different things to express my emotions in the most maximalist way. And that's where I really like pop music. I do think there's a space for like more singer-songwritery stuff that can just hit a sharp melody. But when it's really over the top, I think it's incredible.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I love world building. Who would have thought? And I think that's like the amazing thing about pop. Like you can really... and there's also a thing about pop that I love, that you can make it really deep. But it's almost like this Trojan horse thing. Yeah. You know, like you can package it in this really pretty parcel, but then what's inside can be quite deep and profound, and it can go over people's head that don't dare to see it this way. Yeah. But it also can, you know, if you look at a lot of like early 2000s or 90s pop music videos, all the hidden like messaging and, you know, even like a track like the Aqua Barbie track and stuff, you know, as a child,
I was thinking of Aqua a lot listening to your record. Yeah.
I was really like, as a kid, always like, oh my God, it's just like a fun Barbie world. And then when you're older, you're like, oh, okay, there's all these layers to what this actually is supposed to be about. Yeah.
Which I think is the best thing about pop music. If you're able to put a complex like worldview or a complex sound into something that's really marketable to a mass audience, like that is really job done. I think it's something that Beyonce like does exceptionally well. Yeah. And Gaga can do it exceptionally well as well.
And I'm so happy that Gaga is returning to her theatrics.
You could just see it in her eyes. I was like, at one point, I'm like, she's back. As soon as she came on that Coachella stage last year, I was like, the fire is there. We're about to get some weird shit.
Yes. Oh, that was incredible.
This is an important question and a difficult question. HorsegiirL, what do you think is the most perfect pop song? 10 out of 10. You can interpret the question in any way you like, but the way I think about it is kind of like anytime it comes onto you, you're just like, oh, this is amazing.
Right now, like the track that immediately popped up in my mind was Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head, because it represents to me a very, also almost like a bimbofication of a pop track, because it has the la la la.
Yeah.
Like it has the no lyric.
Yeah.
It has the very repetitive beat that is very smooth.
Yeah.
But also kind of gets you dancing. And it's like...
It has such a hypnotic quality, song.
Yes. That was kind of one of the first ones that now came to my mind. And I think it's...
And thank you for saying an Australian. You're the first person to answer with an Australian.
I only did that for you.
Thank you so much.
I really do love that track. I think, it just never grew old on me as well. So when it comes on the radio, I'm still like, la la la. I think something, I don't know really if that's for everyone, but I think also a great thing about a pop song, a perfect pop song for me, maybe from a musician perspective, is when it is brilliantly simple, but not so simple that I, as a writer, the first time hearing it, can already guess what they're gonna do melodically.
Right. I really like that.
It still has this surprise element, and I'm like, oh, you went there. Oh, this is so exciting. You know, it still has a bit of something unheard and exciting, even for someone who works in music.
Yes, that's a brilliant description. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, with Pink Pantheress's music recently, where I'm like, there are so many obvious pop tropes in it, but it is done in such a like outlandish way that also calls back to British dance music in such a clever way. Like there are so many things meeting in the middle to create what I think is a perfect pop song.
And it's not just a repetition of something that has been there, because we're obviously so much in the cover era of things and redo era of things. And I feel like with her music, it gives you nostalgia while also giving you futurism. Like it feels fresh, but also like something that feels very like warm and you know it, but also you don't.
I wanted to ask you about that because I feel like nostalgia, particularly now in dance music. I mean, dance music is quite recycled anyway, but there's something right now that feels very nostalgic about the way that dance music moves, like on a more like huge super DJ kind of mode of just like sampling 90s dance tracks basically. But I wonder how you feel about bringing nostalgia into your work while also trying to make it sound fresh and unique to you.
I'm a big fan of sampling. I don't love redos of a lot of old tracks. I don't I think it's always great to get inspiration. I think that's how art works. You look at many different things and you get inspired, and then you kind of create your own thing. You cannot reinvent the wheel. And I think that also breaks a lot of creative flow if you try to, I don't know, make something out of thin air. You always have to start somewhere, right? But I think I find it boring and not challenging to think that I cannot come up with my own good melody, or you know. So I and most of the times a cover version or a new version of an old track actually doesn't hit as much. I think it's very few times they are as good or even better.
Diminishing returns for sure.
So I guess the way I like to keep it is I like to, take elements, but I never just stick to one time as well. I don't go, okay, I'm going to make a 90s record, so I'm only going to use sounds and and also go really in the way the vocals are produced the same way they did it back then.
Yeah.
I think then it just becomes so boring. I think like, okay, so we can use a 90s synth, but we can also use very modern drums, and we can do a vocal production that's more 2000s folk. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something really interesting about looking at that music from the lens of like somebody making music in 2026, because so much time has passed, so much has been developed. You've got your own influences to bring into it.
Yeah.
I wonder, we do have to finish up, unfortunately, but I want to know, like, for people who are listening to this record, Nature is Healing, like, where's the best place to hear it for the first time? And you can be really simple with that answer, or you can really go like in on the details.
I think there's not one perfect place, but I would love if wherever you are listening to it, you actually gear up for the whole experience. You actually have the time to listen to it in one go. That can be in the car, that can be on a walk, that can be with your friends at a cute little listening get together you do at your house. I do feel like there's a track for every mood kind of as well.
Definitely.
And so it can be while you're getting ready, can be while you're going to work. Just run it up, guys. Just listen to it.
Wherever. Who cares? Just press play. This has been an absolute pleasure. HorsegiirL, thank you for joining us on the Pop Pod.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun. You know, next time we'll do a 24-hour.
We're going to hit the live stream next time for sure. Yeah.